Every single day you wake up is a gift you did not earn, and yet how easily we waste it. We scroll, we delay, we say, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is a promise you were never given. One day there will be no more later, no more chances, no more time to fix what you kept postponing, and on that day, the only thing that will remain is what you actually did. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Procrastination is not just laziness. It's not just poor time management. It is a spiritual problem. Because when you delay what matters, you are choosing dunya over purpose. You are choosing comfort over growth. You are choosing distraction over your responsibility to Allah. You say, I'll pray later. You say, I'll change later. You say, I'll become better later. But your heart knows the truth. Every delay hardens it. Every delay makes the next delay easier. Until one day, you don't even feel the urgency anymore. Understand this deeply. Your life is not long. Even if you live 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, compare that to eternity. This life is just a few breaths, a few moments, a test that will end faster than you think, and yet we treat it like we have forever. The biggest lie procrastination tells you is this. You have time. No, you don't. You have now. That's it. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel motivated. Right now. You are waiting for motivation, but motivation doesn't come first. Action comes first. You move first, and then Allah opens the doors. You take one step, and then strength comes. You start small, and then consistency builds. But if you keep waiting to feel ready, you will be waiting your entire life. Look at your habits. What are you feeding your time with? Endless scrolling, mindless entertainment, comparing your life to others? These things are not harmless. They are stealing your life, 1 hour at a time. And you don't even notice it happening. Ask yourself honestly, if today was your last day, would you still delay? Would you still say, I'll start tomorrow? Or would you finally pray on time? Finally ask for forgiveness. Finally work toward becoming the person you know you should be. The tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is that we waste it. We waste the mornings we could have used for growth. We waste the nights we could have used for reflection. We waste the opportunities Allah placed right in front of us, and then we wonder why we feel empty. Here is the truth you need to hear. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to feel inspired. You just need to start. Start messy, start small, start tired. But start, pray even if your focus isn't perfect. Work even if your energy is low. Chant even if it feels uncomfortable, because consistency, not perfection, is what transforms you. And remember this. Every second you spend doing something good, even something small, is not wasted in the sight of Allah. A single sincere action can outweigh years of delay. So don't aim to change your whole life overnight. Just change this moment. Right now, closest what is distracting you. Stand up, make wudu. Do one thing you've been delaying, just one. And then tomorrow, do it again. Your life is being written right now, not when you feel ready, not when things are easier, right now. So don't waste it, because one day you will wish for just one more chance, and that chance is what you have today. We often tell ourselves a comforting lie. I'm just lazy. But what if that's not the real issue? What if the real problem runs deeper into the state of your heart, your priorities, and your relationship with Allah? Because procrastination is not simply about delaying tasks. It is about delaying obedience, delaying growth, delaying the very purpose you were created for. Think about the moments you say, I'll pray later. It's not that you don't believe in prayer. It's not that you don't know its importance. So why delay? Because in that moment, something else feels more important. Comfort feels more important. Your phone feels more important. Your desires feel more urgent. And that is where the spiritual danger lies. Procrastination slowly reshapes your priorities without you even realizing it. Each time you delay something good, you are training your heart to choose what is easy over what is right. At first, it feels small. It's just one delayed prayer. It's just one day I didn't try. But small delays are never just small. They accumulate. They stack on top of each other until they become a pattern, and that pattern becomes your lifestyle. The scariest part is not the delay itself, it's what the delay does to your heart. Because every time you ignore something you know you should do, your heart becomes a little less sensitive, a little less responsive, a little less alive. Until one day, you don't even feel the guilt anymore. And when guilt disappears, change becomes much harder. This is why procrastination is dangerous. Not because tasks are left unfinished, but because your connection with Allah becomes weaker. When you delay prayer, you are delaying a meeting with your Creator. When you delay repentance, you are postponing your return to Him. When you delay self-improvement, you are neglecting the trust Allah placed within you, and yet we treat it so casually. We say, I'll fix myself later. We say, I'll become better when I'm ready. But readiness is not something that magically appears. It is something you build through action. Understand this clearly. Your nafs, inner self, will always push you toward delay. It loves comfort. It avoids effort. It whispers, not now, later. And if you keep listening to it, Later becomes your entire life. But the believer is not someone who follows every impulse. The believer resists. The believer recognizes that discipline is part of faith. That showing up, especially when it's hard, is an act of worship. Breaking procrastination is not just about productivity, it's about sincerity. It's about proving to yourself and to Allah that He matters more than your distractions, that your purpose matters more than your comfort. So the next time you feel the urge to delay, pause and ask yourself, what am I choosing over Allah right now? That question alone can wake your heart, because when you realize what's at stake, delay no longer feels harmless. It feels heavy, it feels real, and that's where change begins, not when you feel motivated, but when you become aware that your time is a trust, aware that your actions matter. Aware that every moment is an opportunity, either bringing you closer to Allah or further away. So don't dismiss procrastination as a small weakness. Treat it as a spiritual wake-up call. Because the way you treat your time is a reflection of what truly matters in your heart. There is a quiet assumption that lives in the back of our minds. I have time to fix things, time to repent, time to become better, time to finally take life seriously. But this assumption is one of the most dangerous illusions you can carry because it makes delay feel safe. You wake up in the morning and think, I'll start later. You postpone a prayer and say, there's still time. You delay change and whisper, I'm still young. But none of these thoughts are promises, they are guesses, and life is not built on guarantees. The truth is simple but hard to accept. You are not promised tomorrow. Not even your next hour is guaranteed. People had plans today that they never got to complete. People said, I'll do it later, and their later never came. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you, because when you truly understand how fragile time is, your behavior changes. You stop treating moments like they are replaceable. You stop wasting hours like they are unlimited. You start seeing time for what it really is, a limited opportunity, a test to trust. Think about how casually we spend our days. Hours lost in scrolling, hours lost in distractions, hours lost doing things that bring no real value to our lives or our akira. And the shocking part is we don't even feel it. We don't feel the loss as it happens, because time doesn't leave with noise. It leaves silently, one moment at a time. And then one day you look back and wonder, where did it all go? The days you said you would change, the nights you said you would reflect, the opportunities you said you would take, all gone. Not because you didn't have time, but because you thought you had too much of it. This is the trap. When you believe time is abundant, you become careless. You delay important things. You ignore what truly matters. You prioritize comfort over purpose. But when you realize time is limited, everything shifts suddenly. Your choices become intentional. You guard your hours. You become more hadr, present. You start aligning your actions with what truly matters. The believer lives with a different mindset, not fear, but awareness. An awareness that every day could be your last opportunity to do something meaningful, to pray with sincerity, to seek forgiveness, to take one step closer to becoming who Allah wants you to be. And this awareness doesn't make life heavy. It makes life valuable, because when you stop assuming you have endless time, you begin to appreciate the time you do have. A single prayer becomes more meaningful. A single act of al-khair, good, becomes more intentional. A single moment of sincerity becomes more powerful. So instead of saying, I have time, replace it with a better truth. I have this moment. That's all you truly own, this breath. This fursa, opportunity, this chance to act. And the beauty is you don't need to fix your entire life at once. You just need to stop delaying the good you already know you should do. Pray now, start now, rep it now, tray now, because one day you will wish for one more moment, one more chance to do what you kept postponing. And on that day, the illusion of I have time will disappear completely. So don't wait for a future that isn't guaranteed. Don't build your life on assumptions. Build it on action, on urgency, on sincerity, because time is not something you control. It is something you are given. And once it's gone, no amount of regret can bring it back. One of the biggest traps you can fall into is this belief, I'll start when I feel motivated. It sounds harmless, even logical. After all, shouldn't you feel ready before you begin? But this mindset is exactly what keeps you stuck, because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It rises when things feel easy and disappears the moment things get difficult. If you build your life around motivation, you will only act when it feels convenient, and growth does not happen in convenience. Think about the things you keep delaying, praying on time, fixing your habits, working toward your goals, becoming a better version of yourself. You already know these things matter, so why haven't you started? Because you're waiting for a feeling, a spark, a sudden burst of energy, a perfect moment where everything inside you says, now I'm ready. But that moment rarely comes, and if it does, it doesn't last. Here is the truth most people avoid. You don't need motivation to start. You need discipline, because discipline is what carries you when motivation fades. It is what pushes you to act, even when you don't feel like it. It is what separates intention from action. The problem is, we have trained ourselves to follow our feelings. If we feel inspired, we act. If we feel tired, we stop. If we feel lazy, we delay. But your feelings are not always your friends. Sometimes they are the very thing holding you back. Your nafs will always choose ease over effort. It will whisper, rest a little more, scroll a little longer, start tomorrow. And if you keep obeying those whispers, you will stay exactly where you are, not because you lack ability, but because you lack consistency. Real change begins when you stop asking, do I feel like it? And start asking, does this matter? If it matters, you do it, even if you're tired, even if you're not in the mood, even if it feels difficult, because your purpose is greater than your feelings. Think about prayer. Do you only pray when you feel motivated, or do you pray because you know it is an obligation? That is discipline. That is what builds strength. And that same mindset needs to apply to every part of your life. Here's something powerful to understand. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you take the first step, something shifts inside you. When you begin, even in a small way, momentum starts to build, and that momentum becomes motivation. But the first step is always the hardest because it requires you to move without feeling ready. It requires you to push against resistance. It requires you to choose effort over comfort. Start small. Don't wait to fix everything at once. Pray one salah on time. Work for 10 minutes. Write one page. Make one sincere dua. It may seem insignificant, but small, consistent actions are more powerful than occasional bursts of motivation because consistency builds identity. Every time you act despite not feeling like it, you prove to yourself, I am someone who shows up, and that identity changes everything. You stop relying on emotions, you stop making excuses, you stop waiting, and you start becoming. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I'm not motivated, understand what that really means. You are waiting for a feeling that may never come. Waiting while your life continues to pass. Don't wait. Act even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncomfortable. Because every step you take without motivation is a step towards strength. And over time, you will realize something incredible. You didn't need motivation to change your life. You just needed the courage to begin. No one wakes up one day and suddenly becomes distant from what is right. It doesn't happen in one moment. It doesn't happen in one big decision. It happens slowly, quickly, through small delays that seem harmless at first. You tell yourself, it's just this one time. You delay a prayer, you ignore a responsibility. You postpone something you know you should do, and it feels small, almost insignificant, but what you don't see is what that delay is doing inside you. Every time you delay something good, your heart feels it. The first time, there is discomfort, a sense of guilt, a voice inside you saying, you shouldn't have done that. That feeling is a mercy. It is a sign that your heart is still alive. But what happens when you repeat the same delay again and again? That feeling starts to fade. The guilt becomes weaker, the urgency disappears, the voice inside you becomes quieter, until one day, it is almost gone. This is how the heart hardens, not through one major sin, but through consistent neglect of what is right, through small acts of delay that slowly reshape your sensitivity. At first, delaying prayer bothers you. Later, it becomes normal. At first, wasting hours feels wrong. Later, it becomes routine. At first, ignoring your purpose feels uncomfortable. Later, you don't even think about it, and that is the real danger. Not that you delayed once, but that you stopped caring, because when the heart stops responding, change becomes much harder. A soft heart reacts, it feels, it responds. It turns back quickly when it slips, but a hardened heart delays without concern. It ignores reminders, it feels no urgency, it becomes comfortable in distance. And this doesn't happen overnight. It is built through patterns. Every small delay is like a layer that slowly covers the clarity of your heart. A layer that makes it harder to recognize what truly matters. Imagine your heart as something pure and clear. Every time you act upon what you know is right, that clarity remains. But every time you delay, ignore, or avoid, a stain is added. At first, it is barely visible, but over time, if nothing changes, those stains begin to cover everything. This is why small actions matter so much, because they are never just small. They are shaping who you are becoming. They are shaping how your heart responds. The good news is this. Just as the heart can harden, it can also soften, but it requires awareness, it requires effort, and it requires you to stop ignoring the small things. When you feel that initial guilt, don't silence it. Listen to it, act on it, because that feeling is guiding you back. It is a sign that your heart is still alive and capable of change. Start reversing the pattern. If you delayed something, correct it immediately. If you missed something important, return to it without hesitation. Don't let delays settle. Don't let them become habits, because the longer you wait, the easier it becomes to keep waiting, and the harder it becomes to break free. You don't need to transform everything overnight. You just need to stop normalizing delay. Stop telling yourself it's okay to keep postponing what matters. Choose responsiveness over delay. Choose action over avoidance. Choose awareness over carelessness, because your heart is not meant to be numb. It is meant to be alive, sensitive, connected. And every time you act on what you know is right, no matter how small, you are polishing that heart. You are removing those layers. You are bringing it back to life. So don't underestimate small delays. They are not just moments, they are building blocks, either building a heart that is awake or a heart that has forgotten how to feel. You don't always notice when your life is slipping away. There's no loud warning, no sudden alarm. It happens quietly through distractions. What feels like just a few minutes often turns into hours. You pick up your phone for a quick check, and suddenly a large part of your day is gone. Scrolling, watching, clicking, repeating, and at the end of it, you feel something strange, not rested, not fulfilled, just empty. This is the nature of distraction. It promises relief, but delivers nothing lasting. It gives you stimulation, but not purpose. It fills your time, but not your life. The most dangerous part is that distractions don't feel harmful. They feel normal. Everyone is doing it. Everyone is busy with something, so it doesn't seem like a problem. But normal doesn't always mean harmless. Every moment you spend distracted is a moment you are not present. Not present with your responsibilities, not present with your goals, not present with your relationship with Allah. And over time, those lost moments add up. Think about how much time is consumed daily by things that don't benefit you. Endless scrolling on social media, watching content that leaves no impact, constantly checking notifications. These are not just small habits. They are patterns, pawns that slowly shape your life without you realizing it. Distractions don't destroy your life all at once. They do it piece by piece, 1 hour today, another hour tomorrow, until weeks turn into months, and months turn into years, and when you look back, you realize how much time was lost. What makes distractions even more dangerous is how they affect your focus. Your mind becomes restless. You struggle to concentrate. You find it harder to stay consistent. You lose the ability to sit with something meaningful for a long time. This directly impacts your growth because anything valuable, learning, ibadah, worship, self-improvement requires focus. It requires presence. Distractions train your mind to avoid both. Spiritually, the impact is even deeper. A distracted heart is a distant heart. When your mind is constantly occupied with noise, it becomes harder to connect, harder to reflect, harder to feel sincerity. Even in acts of worship, your thoughts wander. Your focus weakens, your connection feels shallow, and this is how distractions steal more than just your time. They steal your depth, your ability to truly engage with life, your ability to feel meaning. But here is the truth: not all rest is bad, not all entertainment is harmful. The issue is excess. The issue is when distraction becomes your default state, when you run to it every time you feel bored, stressed, or uncomfortable, because growth often requires discomfort, silence, effort, patience, and distractions pull you away from all of it. So what can you do? Start by becoming aware. Notice where your time is going. Notice how often you reach for your phone without thinking. Notice how much of your day is spent on things that don't bring you closer to your purpose. Then, take small steps. You don't need to eliminate everything at once. Just reduce, set boundaries, give your time intention. Bottom some of that distraction with something meaningful, even something small. A few minutes of reflection, a focused prayer, a short effort toward your goals, because your time is too valuable to be spent unconsciously. Your life is too important to be lived on autopilot. Every moment you reclaim from distraction is a moment you give back to yourself, a moment you invest in your growth, a moment you bring closer to Allah. So don't underestimate distractions. They don't look like a threat, but they are quietly taking something you can never get back: your time, your focus, your life. And the moment you become aware of that is the moment you begin to take it back. We often think change has to be big to matter. We imagine a perfect beginning, a moment where everything aligns, where our energy is high, our plan is clear, and our motivation is strong. So we wait for the right time. We wait for the perfect moment. We wait until we feel completely ready. But that moment rarely comes, and while you are waiting, your life is moving. The truth is simple but powerful. The only way forward is to start now, not later, not when it's easier, not when you feel ready. Now, but here's what stops most people. They think starting small doesn't matter. They believe if they can't do something big, it's not worth doing at all. So instead of taking a small step, they take no step. And that is where the real loss happens. Because small actions are never insignificant. A single sincere prayer matters. A few minutes of effort matters. One khutwa, step, in the right direction matters. In fact, small, consistent actions are more powerful than rare big ones, because consistency builds momentum. Think of it like this: if you try to change everything overnight, you will burn out. But if you change one small thing and stay consistent with it, it becomes part of you. It becomes your habit, your identity, your lifestyle. The problem is not that you can't change. The problem is that you are overwhelming yourself with the idea of change. You look at the distance between where you are and where you want to be, and it feels too far. So you don't start at all, but you were never meant to jump to the end. You were meant to walk step by step, moment by moment. Start where you are. If your prayers are inconsistent, begin with one prayer on time. If your focus is weak, start with 10 minutes of deep work. If your heart feels distant, make one sincere dua. Don't underestimate these small beginnings because they are not just actions, they are signals that you are serious about change, signals that you are no longer waiting. And something beautiful happens when you take that first step. Allah opens the way. You find strength you didn't think you had. You feel a sense of clarity. You experience a shift inside you, not because everything is perfect, because you moved. Action brings barakah, effort brings guidance, but only if you begin. Another powerful truth. Starting small removes fear. When you tell yourself, I only need to do a little, your mind relaxes, the task feels manageable, the resistance becomes weaker. And once you start, continuing becomes easier. This is how consistency is built, not through pressure, but through simplicity. And over time, those small actions grow. One prayer becomes 5. 10 minutes becomes an hour. One good habit becomes many. But it all begins with one decision: to stop waiting, because waiting is comfortable. It gives you the illusion that you will change someday, but action is what turns that someday into reality. So don't aim for perfection. Aim for movement. Don't aim to do everything. Aim to do something. Right now, not after this, not later today, not tomorrow. Right now, closest what is distracting you. Stand up. Do one thing you've been delaying. Even if it's small, even if it feels insignificant, because that small step is not just a step, it is a bidayat, beginning, a shift. A decision that you will no longer let your life pass you by, and one day you will look back and realize it wasn't one big change that transformed your life. It was the small steps you chose to take, again and again, without waiting.